Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 886A, and today's date is February 5th, 2016, and the title of the episode is Obama Pushes Recovered Economy with Manipulated Statistics. Let's get right into the economic collapse financial news. Well, the unemployment numbers came out today, and yes, I was completely wrong, and I apologize to everyone of how wrong I was. I said by the end of December they were going to bring the unemployment rate down to 4.9%. Instead, the first week of February, the unemployment came down to 4.9%. And we look at the job numbers, and we know at this point that all of these numbers are completely manipulated. This is the only way they can basically push the agenda, push the idea that we've recovered. I mean, we're at 4.9% unemployment right now. The January payroll numbers brought on 151,000 jobs. Of course, it was well below the 190,000 that were expected, but who cares about that? We see the prior months, they were revised lower. Anyone surprised about that? I am not. November and October printed at 292,000, 252,000. They were revised to 262 and 177. A net loss of 105,000 jobs. Anyone talking about that? No. We see the labor force participation rate eked out another modest increase, but we are at 30-year lows still, so it's going absolutely nowhere. Maybe a lot of these people who are out of work saying, listen, I have to get something, and I'm going to stop looking for these high-paying jobs that I had before, and I'm just going to have to go bartend. I'm going to have to be a waiter or a waitress, and I'll have to get 2 or 3 of these just to make ends meet. So they're trying to convince everyone that we're in this incredible recovery. And we see the unemployment rate, it dropped down to 4.9%. But when we look closely at these numbers, what do we see? We see that, yes, we added jobs, and a lot of the jobs, about 47,000 of them, were in food services and drinking places, waiters and bartenders. In other words, 70% of the job gains in January went to minimum wage workers. Not to manufacturing, not to construction, not to these high-paying jobs. So we have an update, and every time the job numbers come out, we compare what happened in manufacturing to waiters and bartenders. And we see that since 2007, we have lost about 1.4 million manufacturing jobs, and those have been replaced by 1.6 million, which it used to be 1.5 million, waiter and bartender jobs. Now, am I saying these jobs are terrible? No. If you want a waiter and bartender, that's fine. Actually, there's a lot of good cash in it. But for those people who had jobs making 80, 90, 100, 110,000, these are not the jobs they were looking for. These are not the jobs they wanted. They wanted jobs equal to or greater than what they had. Maybe even a little bit lower. If you were making 80, would you accept something 75, 70? Of course. But we can see right now that this job market is completely falling apart. We know Challenger Gray and Christmas, they came out with their layoffs. And we know since December, 218% increase layoffs from December to January. Yes, a lot of these jobs most likely were part-time jobs during the holiday season. But if we go back a year ago, back to January of 2015, we're 42% lower than that. This is not a good start to this year because they're telling us the unemployment rate is at 4.9%. So something's wrong. I mean, there's 94 million Americans not in the labor force right now. So let's look at some of these places that are laying off people. Johnson & Johnson, they're laying off 3,000 people. Walmart, as we know, laying off people, shutting 269 stores. GE, 6,500 jobs. BP to slash 1,000 jobs. Macy's, 3,000 jobs, about 36 stores. Sprint, 2,500 people. Yahoo, 1,700. Canadian Pacific Railway, 1,000. I mean, we are Pearson. Here's another one, 4,000 jobs. Barclays, 1,000. Southwest Energy, 1,100. And it goes on and on and on. Today, we see Sports Authority out there. They're going to file Chapter 11. And they're looking to close about 200 stores, almost half of their stores. All these people are going to be out of work. Think about how many stores in retail that are closing right now, and how many people in retail are losing their jobs. Where are they going to find more work? And we see the trend. High-paying job, they move to retail job. Retail job closes, it moves to the food service hospitality area. That's the last area. And once those go, we're doomed here. Because soon people are going to say, you know what, it's going to be too expensive to go out to eat, to get a drink. I have to buy in bulk. Even that's getting too expensive. And as we move further and further into this collapse, it is going to get worse and worse. There are 45.5 million Americans, which is 1 in 7, that are on food stamps right now. Now, when unemployment was rising, people said enrollment would fall sharply when things got better. Guess what? It hasn't happened. The unemployment is at 4.9%. The last time joblessness fell to that level was in April of 2008. Back then, at 4.9%, 28 million Americans used food stamps. Today, it's double that. And back then, the program cost less than a half of what the government paid out last year. What kind of recovery is this? What kind of an economy is this right now? This is what they're going on and on about? How great things are? I don't see it. It's either all these facts are lying to us, they're not telling us the true picture, or the president and the government employees are not telling us what is really going on. And you have to remember, go back to 2008. When they were out there, June, July, August, September, everything was contained. They don't see any type of recession coming anytime soon. Obama, McCain, they were campaigning to be president. McCain said the economy is absolutely perfect and fine. Bush was saying everything is okay. Right before the elections in October, as the Fed, the government, and everyone else, even the corporate media, was out there trying to tell us that everything was fine, everything at a snap of a finger came crashing down. Everyone's like, oh my God, I'm surprised. How could this be? How can it be? There were people warning about this. I mean, Peter Schiff was one of them. There were many others. They were warning that this is going to crash. They were warning this in 2005, 2006, 2007. The corporate media, the crazy people, they have no idea what they're talking about. Well, right now, the Baltic Dry Index fell to 297 points. We have never seen anything like this ever. I mean, they just crashed through the 300 barrier for the first time. 50% below the previous record. Shipping is at a standstill. Global trade is coming to a screeching halt. It's awful. So let's remember what happened here. We're seeing a huge amount of layoffs. The Baltic Dry Index has crashed to 297. U.S. factory orders have now dropped 14 months in a row. The US, the Restaurant Performance Index, just fell to the lowest level that we've seen since 2008. We see the Class 8 trucks down by 48%. They're not delivering. Rail traffic is also slowing down. We see in Colorado there are hundreds of train engines that are just sitting on the tracks doing nothing. Junk bonds are continually crashing. The 5 large European banks that are considered to be in very, very serious danger: Deutsche Bank, Credit Suisse, Barclays, RBS. Their stocks are falling sharply. Deutsche Bank is the biggest bank in Germany, and it has more exposure to derivatives than any other bank in the world. And guess what? Deutsche Bank is not doing well. So what does the government always do when things are not going well in the economy? Remember, a lot of people losing those high-paying jobs, which means they're contributing less taxes to the government. That means less revenues coming into the government. They need to find more tax revenue. So Obama is going to unveil the next round of taxes, and that is going to be $10 per barrel, $10 barrel tax on oil. Okay, so where's this money going to go? Well, of course, they're saying this is going to help, government transportation. We're going to improve the roads. We know this is not where it's going. No way. And since gas has come down so much, they can justify right now putting a 25-cent gasoline tax. Because who's going to complain? Some places where it's $1.79, 25 cents more. Okay. Some places where it's $1.90, 25 cents more. That's okay. They feel, we did it. We brought down the gas prices. We're putting pressure on Russia. And now we can bring in more taxes and no one's going to complain. And we'll see if this goes through, and we'll see if he's able to do this. But every country that is dying, they need to bring more and more revenue into the government. That means more and more taxes, and this is what we're seeing right now. Congress wants to turn the US Postal Service into a bank. I mean, this is just absolutely ridiculous. I mean, they're calling this the Providing Opportunities for Savings, Transactions, and Lending Act, which is the Postal Act, which means here's another bank. And they're hoping they can take funds in to pay for their losses of $51 billion. So they'll take your money and they'll hold on to it. Would you ever trust a business which has accumulated losses that exceed $51 billion and trust them with your money? No, you wouldn't. But they're pushing this hard because the Postal Service is collapsing. Now, the Chicago Stock Exchange is going to be sold off to Chinese investor groups. Like we said, everything's moving from the west to the east. And here's another portion of it. The Chicago Stock Exchange said a Chinese investor group agreed to acquire it, giving the buyer entry into the intensely competitive U.S. equities market. So the Chongqing Casson Enterprise Group, they have signed an agreement to acquire the company. And we can see things are continually moving. They are moving from west to east, from the United States to China to Russia. And this is continuing. Why? Because the economy is collapsing. The United States is collapsing. The private Western central bank countries, they are collapsing. The dollar is collapsing. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.